low at 58. Tomorrow, we'll kick off the day with dry skies, a high temperature at 85. Some scattered shower and thunderstorm activity possible Wednesday night into Thursday morning.
Good morning and welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. Thanks so much for starting your day with our show. Very much appreciate it. We're just getting underway here. It's feeling very much like Monday. I have to keep reminding myself Tuesday morning. And here we go.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage Show.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Hope you had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. When, I had all these plans. I'm going to do this, and this, and the Labor Day weekend came, and I did none of it. I did absolutely none of it. Oh, no, I did some of it. But anyway, I hope you had a terrific Labor Day weekend. It is great to have you along this Tuesday morning. So let's get going. Taking a look at the big stories, and its polling. What it boils down to is this. Donald Trump is doing better with men. Kamala Harris is doing better with women. In particular, young women. There's a gender gap between the two candidates. And so a majority of men, this is a legacy media poll showing that a majority of men support Donald Trump. Majority of women support Kamala Harris. And the ABC News Ipsos poll released Sunday. Sunday is feeling like yesterday. I'll be reminding myself all morning that today is Tuesday. The poll was released Sunday. 51% of American men support Donald Trump. 51%. 46% of men said they would vote for Harris. And then among women, you've got 54% that say they support Kamala Harris. 41% then saying they would vote for Trump. And the Harris had held a 6-point lead over Trump among women after this was prior to the Democratic National Convention. She was already stronger with women. And they say among the demographics leading this change are white men and women. Among white women, Trump saw a 13-point lead over Harris prior to the convention. Now he's only leading Harris by 2 points. And among white men, Trump went from holding a 13-point lead over Harris to a 21-point lead after the convention. So among white men, guys like me, Trump has seen big increases. Among white women, he's seeing some erosion. Now that's according to the poll. This ABC News Ipsos poll. And Kamala Harris has not seen a bump in polling post-Democratic National Convention. So in the most recent poll, she received 50% support to Trump's 46%. Pretty interesting. And Axios is also picking up on this morning, that Kamala Harris had widened her advantage among women, according to this ABC News poll. Why might that be? I'm curious to get your thoughts on that as to why you think that may be, that men and women are seeing this differently. I certainly understand why younger voters versus maybe older voters like me certainly understand that age may have us looking at things a little bit differently. So among women, Harris is leading by 13 points then. And among men, Trump's leading by 5 points. Why the disparity between men and women? And how I'm curious to get your thoughts on that this morning. We'll open up the hotline and take your point of view on it. Also, Axios points out a surge in reproductive rights activism has helped tip elections toward Democrats since the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade. The top Democrats say they're very worried that many activists feel like this is a 60-40 race when it's more of a 50-50 race. So they are planning on, again, Democrats are saying they're wanting to keep the heat on as we move forward. But why do you think, if these polls are correct, is there a difference then between the way that women and men are looking at this? Also, this New York Post has a piece this morning. These are surveys from the 7 battleground states showing that Donald Trump could win in November. This is a Trafalgar poll. And they're seeing Donald Trump. It was taken right at the end of last month, because we're into September now. So this is right at the end of August. And Trafalgar sees Trump sweeping 44 electoral votes from blue states in November, eking out narrow wins in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. That's inside the poll's margin of error. So the new Trafalgar survey sees Trump sweeping 44 electoral votes. The polling is a departure from recent polling that shows Vice President Kamala Harris making gains in the states that will decide the election. And again, that to me is just blows my mind, because you look at the way that she has positioned herself, and it's like she's never heard of Joe Biden until he withdrew from the race. It's a little bit hard for a lot of people to understand. There was some I got things out of sort here a little bit. While we're talking polls, Frank Luntz said he made a prediction on CNBC Squawk Box. And he says, now he was commenting on the upcoming debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And Luntz said, based on her performance with that CNN interview last week, based on that performance, she's going to lose the debate, says Luntz. And he said, I was surprised, quite frankly, he said, watching the CNN interview. I was not impressed as an observer and someone who was expecting more from her with this much time to get prepared, he said. Then he outlined like 8 points, starting with her lack of having a good response to the question about what she intends to do on day one. And even I mocked that last week. I'm like, how do you not know? That's the easiest question. Everybody, what are you going to do on day one? Everybody knows that question is coming. And she absolutely bumbled it. And Lund said she should have had something for day one, for the first hour, the first day, the first week, the first month, the first year. It's the most important thing voters are looking for, to see whether you're serious. She really didn't itemize much more than her talking points. And he goes on. And Luntz also said when she was going after Donald Trump, she missed the mark. Instead of just taking shots at him, she should have compared his record to her vision, saying that he promised this, he failed, so on. So he gave her performance on this CNN interview a C and said she's going to have to do better in the debate, Luntz says. Bill Maher, also on his show on HBO, host of Real Time, Bill Maher. Bill Maher was reacting to that was because Kamala Harris and the CNN interview was one of the big stories of the week, certainly the big political story of the week. So Bill Maher's talking about it on Real Time. And he said, I thought she did great. I thought she did fine. I don't know why we ever thought she was as bad as people thought she was. It was like Biden had that one bad night. She had a bad 3 years, he says. But he went after Harris and Tim Walz for insulting his intelligence, Maher said. He said well, he was talking about Tim Walz and Walz suggesting he speaks the way that normal people speak. Tim Walz saying this. And Maher says, no, you don't. You're a huge liar, like all politicians are. He said, I really don't give a blank what you did during the Iraq War. You were in the Guard. I don't understand why they just can't. And then he broke off. He stopped. I don't understand why they just can't. And then he says, they're just insulting my intelligence, Maher says. And he said, when he's talking here about CNN anchor Dana Bash, when she said, what did you say when Biden called you and said he wasn't running? And now he's talking about Kamala Harris here. So what did you say when Biden called you and said he wasn't running? Well, I immediately thought of him first, Maher said. He's rolling his eyes as he's saying this. So in other words, Bill Maher's not buying anything of what Kamala was saying. I immediately thought of him first, rolling his eyes. And then he says, I mean, fracking. Dana Bash had her dead to rights. It was like, you said this. I have the quote. I'm reading it to you. You said there should be a ban on fracking. And Maher says, why can't they just go, yeah, you know what? I got it wrong. So, because they can't. They just, so Bill Maher had some praise also for Kamala Harris. He gave her credit for not taking the bait when Dana Bash asked about Trump. And he said, that was just so great. She said, same old playbook about Trump. And Dana said, like, that's it? That's it. That's my answer. That's all you're getting. But Maher went on to express that he's puzzled about the messaging from Harris, which he repeatedly talks about finding a new way forward. It's an odd thing to say when you're in the present administration, is it not? Well, of course it is. Of course it is. And then he also mocked the interview setup with Harris and Tim Walz, her emotional support VP. He said it was a little odd. He was just sitting there for a very long time without saying anything. He was just nodding while she did all the talking. The women's focus group said he must be a wonderful husband, he said. Maher then said later that the Democratic ticket looked like when dad comes along to help a young woman buy a car. Maybe that's the strategy. They look like a married couple. They look like every interracial couple in every commercial, Maher joked. So even Bill Maher is having a difficulty with some of this. Kamala Harris is being criticized now for deploying a fake accent in a speech that she gave in Detroit. She was speaking at a Detroit high school, and appeared to alter the tone of her voice when she became particularly animated and when she was interacting with supporters in the crowd. And she is being called out on it by people who are seeing this. I think comedian Chad Prather reacted to it. "This is so cringe," he said. "Kamala Harris has again brought out her fake accent, this time in Detroit. No one is buying it," he says. Matt Whitlock said he argued that all of politics is a performance to Kamala Harris. She changes fake accents like she changes policy positions and political personas, Whitlock said. Today she's talking in a fake Southern accent, pretending to be a moderate. Next week she'll be back to San Francisco liberal, he says. So a lot of people are not buying it. There's also a piece this morning. This is coming from Breitbart, that Kamala Harris will be going after Donald Trump and will be relying then on attacks against Trump rather than substance. And during the debate, so NBC News reported last week on Harris' plan, and they're trying to agitate Trump. How has that been working out so far? Because they've been trying to do this. They've been trying to agitate Donald Trump. How has that been working out so far? Meanwhile, also the Philadelphia Eagles are taking action to remove fake endorsements from their football team, which have been circulating online and going viral. So video of advertisements circulated online appearing to show political support for Kamala Harris coming from the Philadelphia Eagles NFL team. And so video and photos of these circulated online went viral yesterday, and the Eagles came out against the posters and said they're counterfeit. They're not, we're aware counterfeit political ads are being circulated and are working with our advertising partner to have them removed, they said. So the posters have been on bus shelters owned, again, this throughout Pennsylvania. Some of the ads have been removed, and a blank space was seen where the Harris advertisement used to be. So the Philadelphia Eagles are having none of it, pushing back against that. And then also a big story this morning. James Darren has died at the age of 88. James Darren was known for a lot of work. He was most recently, I think he was pretty well remembered for his role on T.J. Hooker, also Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So James Darren passed away in his sleep yesterday at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles, and this was confirmed by his son. So according to reports, the Hollywood Reporter is saying that James Darren died in his sleep, again at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, and he had entered the hospital for an aortic valve replacement, but was deemed too weak to have the surgery. So he went home, but then wound up having to come back to the hospital and unfortunately passed away. And his son, Jim Murray, said he's if you recognize his name, he's a correspondent for Inside Edition. So Jim Murray said of his father, "I always thought he would pull through because he was so cool. He was always so cool." So he has had a long career. He was in the Guns of Navarone. He was on in Knock on Any Door. Remembered by many for his roles in, I think he played opposite three actresses as he was playing the role of Moondoggie in some of the Gidget films. And then he played, those of you who are sci-fi nuts like me, you remember The Time Tunnel? That was back from my favorite year of television was 1966. Between 1966 and I think 1969, some of the best television that ever aired. It was just great TV. Time Tunnel was the show. And he did a number of other things as well. He directed for the first time in 1986 as an emergency fill-in during the final season of T.J. Hooker. And then he went on to direct episodes of Hunters, Silk Stockings, Melrose Place, The A-Team, Beverly Hills 90210. He just had an incredible career. So James Darren is dead at the age of 88. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. So great to have you along this morning. Thanks so much for letting me join you at 627. Fair skies and 60. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
528.
Yeah, I was really saddened to learn of James Darren's death. And I've been watching, recently started watching TJ Hooker again on MeTV Plus. That's part of their daytime lineup at MeTV Plus. And he's just, I always thought he was incredibly likable. And Star Trek fans, he was on Deep Space Nine. He played the lounge singer, Vic Fontaine. It's really, I liked him, everything I saw him in. It's saddened to learn about the trouble he's been having here near the end of his life. Okay, let's see what's going on.
Urge him to keep fighting for affordable drug coverage by opposing S-1246. People by Seniors for Better Care.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies for seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free...
Forgive me for getting lost in my email here for a moment. I had an issue. I rent an apartment, obviously, and I rent a garage. So I went out to my garage this morning to pull out my vehicle, and somebody had been attempting to, there's a barrel key that unlocks the garage door, opens the garage door. And there's a barrel key that is jammed into the lock. And what I assume happened is somebody thought my garage was theirs. And so they jammed it, and I could not open my garage door this morning. And it was just like, oh, what a hell of a way to start the week. So I was just reading an update from Katie. We had to put in a maintenance request. That's life. And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, fair skies and 60 right now at Kello. Joe Bowman's in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up, another state employee is under criminal investigation Also, a red flag warning in effect for western South Dakota. Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up for you in moments. Just ahead, I'll run down stories that are trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery.
Biden and Vice President Harris hold their first joint campaign appearance with her as the nominee.
That's right, Kamala is so proud. So proud of the greatest job creation record of any president in a single term in American history.
Steel workers in Pittsburgh. 3 people are missing, 5 rescued after a boat crash.
The Coast Guard says the boat was traveling in the Connecticut River at a high rate of speed Monday night when it slammed into a break wall and broke apart. Officials say the 3 missing men were not wearing life jackets at the time.
Fox's Sue Guzman. Actor singer James Darren died, 88 years old. Moondoggie in the Gidget surf movies in the late 50s, early 60s.
Although she's just small fry, just about so.
What a voice.
It is the one for me.
TV show TJ Hooker in the 80s. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. Another state employee under criminal investigation. The state attorney general's office is investigating what it calls a criminal matter involving an employee in the Department of Revenue. The DOR says that an employee was fired after an act of suspicious activity was uncovered. The case has been turned over to the DCI. No charges have been announced. This is the 3rd fraud investigation into a state employee this summer. A red flag warning is in effect for western South Dakota now through tomorrow night. Dry, windy conditions with warm temperatures are causing a greater risk for fire hazards. 12 counties, including Meade and Pennington in west South Dakota, are on high alert. The Summit Carbon Pipeline was approved in Iowa, but the line has nowhere to go. Jess Mazur of the Iowa Sierra Club says it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's a pipeline to nowhere because they're capturing the CO2 in Iowa and they have to ship it up to North Dakota. It makes no sense that the IUC would permit a company that doesn't have approval in other states.
The Iowa Public Utilities Commission last week approved a permit for the Iowa segments of the Summit Pipeline to be built. However, a recent ruling by the South Dakota Supreme Court sided with landowners who don't want Summit to use eminent domain to build the pipeline on their land. Local favorite Wild Water West is now officially closed until next summer. Labor Day marked the final day of the summer season for the popular water attraction here in Sioux Falls. This summer was challenging when floods forced the park to close for much of June, but park officials say good crowds in August made up for it. And in Canaries baseball, the Birds concluded the regular season with a 3-2 win against Kansas City yesterday. The Birds finished 2nd in the West Division. The Canaries will host division champs Winnipeg Goldeyes tomorrow at the Birdcage in the opening round of the Miles Wolf Cup playoffs. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Mostly sunny skies today. The wind stronger from the south at 15 to 30. High temperature nearing 80 degrees. For tonight, that south breeze will continue low at 58. Tomorrow, we'll pick up the day with dry skies, a high temperature at 85. Some scattered showers, thunderstorm activity possible Wednesday night into Thursday morning. From the Storm Center at Kibberland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Free home delivery 24 hours a day. We deliver the news to you at home, at work, in your car, wherever you go. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
At least 2 generations have no concept of the world before texting, social media, smartphones, video games, and streaming. But suddenly, Gen Z has discovered what America first knew about in the early 1950s. Don't look now, but free TV is having a moment. I'm Kim Commando for T-Mobile. Their advanced network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today. It seems like only a few months ago that we abandoned cable and satellite. They deserved it. High prices and snotty service drove us into the open arms of Netflix and cutting cable. We were lured by the promise of great entertainment, and we purchased Hulu, Disney, Apple, Paramount, Prime, and more. And just like that, we're paying more than we once did for cable. This has led an entire generation to rediscover, wait for it, free TV. Except you do have to watch those annoying ads. But wait, those annoying ads are on your paid streaming channels too, aren't they? What's next? Rooftop antennas? Be sure to get my free newsletter. Sign up at getkim.com.
Hey friends, Kim here. You know, it seems the older you get, the savvier you become at saving money.
I'd really hate to overspend on things, especially the necessities. But thanks to T-Mobile, I don't have to worry about overpaying for wireless service, so I've got more time and money to spend on other things. At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a month per line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, Scam Shield Premium is included, which means fewer scam calls and more tools to help you optimize and organize your mobile life. Experience all this and more with T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network. Don't miss out. Get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for $30 a month per line at T-Mobile. Visit T-Mobile.com or your local store to make the switch and save.
With autopay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details. Capable device required for Scam Shield. Turning on Scam Block. My block calls you off. Disable anytime.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires, your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson picture and combination windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and lighting the bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today. ABC Seamless.
At Bethany Homes, Sioux Falls, Brandon, and Meadows, we believe that our employees are our greatest asset. If you're ready to share your heart and skills, join our Bethany family and be rewarded. Apply on our careers page at mybethanyhome.org. Bethany is church-owned, faith-based, and spiritually guided.
Entertaining talk.
You are a quintessential drone. You're a moron.
News that affects you.
The latest inflation numbers are out.
It's everything you need to stay well informed. News Talk 1320, 107.9. Entertaining talk and news when it happens.
Forgive me, I'm scrambling around here like crazy. 6:37. Hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. It's great to have you along this morning. Fair skies and 60. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
I'm going to strike on YouTube this morning for that music playing. Whoops. All right, let's take a look at the big trending stories this morning. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden uniting in Pennsylvania on Labor Day then to rally union support ahead of the 2020 election. So they made some remarks. The first time the two have shared a speaking slot since the president withdrew from the race and bowed out to Kamala Harris. So they attended the Labor Day parade and speaking then during the rally. Donald Trump also trending. He took to his Truth Social platform on Sunday, reacting to the murder of 6 hostages at the hands of Hamas, who were found in a tunnel. And Trump said it happened because Comrade Kamala Harris and crooked Joe Biden are poor leaders. Americans are getting slaughtered overseas. They have blood on their hands. Sadly, this is a total lack of leadership that Kamala and Biden represent. So he said, we grieve the senseless death of the Israeli hostages. But again, placing the blame at the hands of Biden and Harris. He said, our country and our amazing people are not safe under Joe Biden and will be less safe under Kamala Harris. This terror would have never happened if I were president, and it will stop the day I am back in the Oval Office, Trump said on True Social. Also, Donald Trump, in a bit of a I think, significant development. Donald Trump has thrown his support behind Florida's Amendment 3. It's a constitutional amendment that seeks to legalize recreational marijuana. So he announced this on True Social over the weekend, and that comes as Floridians then prepare to vote for the amendment in the November election. You got the same thing going on in a number of other states, which is why it caught my attention. Donald Trump supporting a ballot measure legalizing recreational marijuana. Will not change my vote in South Dakota on that issue. And I'm not certain, I'll have to do some homework. I'm not, how does that benefit Donald Trump? And how does that benefit the country? Also, thousands of workers at top hotel chains were on strike during the Labor Day weekend. They're looking for higher wages, so it's a major hotel strike over the Labor Day weekend. Contract negotiations have stalled. Also, 2 U.S. Marines were violently attacked by a group in Turkey. And the good news is they're safe. Turkish authorities say they detained 15 members of the Youth Union of Turkey in this physical assault of these service members. And so they're both service members aboard the USS Wasp. And they had made a port call. And so these Marines from an amphibious assault ship visiting the city in Western Turkey. Have you seen the videos of this? Just being, grabbed by these men and, bag thrown over the head of one of the Marines, and as he was fighting the group. So Turkish authorities say they detained 15 members of the Youth Union of Turkey in this assault. So the Marines were on liberty, according to the U.S. Naval Forces. 2 Marines were aided by other Marines in the area, were subsequently taken to a local hospital for evaluation, but they were not injured, and they were returned to the USS Wasp. Also, TikTokers who, this is a glitch, and it's, according to social media users, some people were exploiting a system error to withdraw money after depositing fake checks into their accounts or after applying for large loans at Chase Bank ATMs. So it's a new TikTok trend then. People posting their attempts then to exploit this glitch in the Chase Bank ATMs that offer infinite free money, but quickly learned that the bank and its money not so easily parted. Experts say the glitch videos look an awful lot like check fraud, one of the oldest scams in the book. So videos urging customers at the bank to take advantage of the glitch quickly took off online, prompting people to deposit fake checks for large sums of money. And yeah, Chase obviously aware of the whole thing. Also trending this morning, thousands have lined the streets in Jerusalem for the funeral of Hirsch Goldberg Poland, that 23-year-old American Israeli hostage that was murdered by Hamas So the funeral occurred and hundreds of people gathered, calling him a child of light. So the chain link fence behind was hung with banners bearing his face and red and black scarves. And the president released a statement following his murder. So he spoke about this and vowed that Hamas leaders will pay for these crimes, but then said that the United States will keep working around the clock to secure a deal, which would be between the Jewish state and Hamas in order to release the rest of the hostages. So the president offered his condolences over the death of and he was talking to their parents and offering them his condolences over the death of their son at the hands of Hamas. Meanwhile, the president also accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of not doing enough to secure a hostage deal with Hamas. The president saying, and the president said, I worked tirelessly to bring their beloved Hirsch safely to them. I'm heartbroken by the news of his death. And that's he started putting the heat then on Benjamin Netanyahu. Also, and I think many of us have a much different view on what's going on and what's happening there, putting the heat on Netanyahu for what Hamas is doing. Also, there's a general strike in Israel, and an Israeli labor court ordered an end to the general strike. And this happening over public outrage over the hostage killings. Also, the Philadelphia Eagles are working to remove counterfeit political ads endorsing Kamala Harris. Why the Philadelphia Eagles? Because this is saying that the Eagles were supporting Kamala Harris and their name very prominently on these, and so that she is the official candidate of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what the posters have said. Philadelphia Eagles are saying not true. They're busy taking the posters down. Also, Adele has announced that she's taking an incredibly long break from music after she was engaged to Rich Paul. So she still has 10 dates of her Las Vegas residency to complete in the coming weeks. So she told her fans, after that, I will not see you for an incredibly long time. I will hold you dear in my heart for that whole length of my break. So her Las Vegas residency ending, and telling fans she will not see them for a long time. Also, Deadpool and Wolverine are on top of the Labor Day box office, and the Reagan biopic did pretty well. So this is the biopic starring Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan, the only new release, and it earned $7.4 million over the 3-day weekend. So Deadpool and Wolverine topping the box office, but the Reagan biopic doing incredibly well. I'd like to see that. I've watched some extended previews of that and looks very, very interesting to me. Got a number of sports stories that are trending this morning. Southern California scored in the last 10 seconds to defeat LSU in a season opener. So there are several, in fact, they scored a touchdown in the final seconds to take down LSU. USC is ranked number 23, LSU at number 13. Also, Arch Manning recording his first college touchdowns as Texas beats Colorado State in their season opener. Other sports stories that are trending this morning: South Carolina basketball star Ashlyn Watkins is arrested on assault and kidnapping charges, according to a warrant. This occurred over the weekend. He was arrested on Saturday, according to arrest warrants. Other stories that are trending this morning: this is a tragic. A small plane crashed into a home in Fairview, Oregon, killing 3 people. So it crashed into these townhomes in Oregon, Fairview, Oregon. No official word on the cause of the deadly crash, but audio recording revealed that the pilot reported some control issues just minutes after taking off at a nearby airport. And then after the crash, that sparked a fire. Also, Brazil's Supreme Court is upholding the decision to ban X in that country. So Brazil's Supreme Court formed a majority yesterday to uphold a justice who had ruled to shut down X in the country for not complying with their local norms. So the feud with Elon Musk and X continues. That X has been shut down now in Brazil. Also, Tim Walz was unharmed after a crash in Milwaukee. Several cars at the back of a motorcade that were carrying Tim Walz crashed while they were heading from the airport to a campaign stop in Milwaukee yesterday. Tim Walz was unhurt. I think a number of Walz traveling staff were affected. They were in a van carrying reporters. They were injured and being treated by medics, according to a pool report. Again, Tim Walz was not hurt. Also, the U.S. government has seized the plane used by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. And they cited violations of sanctions and export control laws, the Justice Department said yesterday. So U.S. officials say the aircraft was illegally purchased through a shell company and then smuggled out of the United States. So they seized the plane that was being used by Maduro. Also, the Kremlin prefers Kamala Harris win the election because she's more predictable than Donald Trump, apparently. It's the spokesperson for the Kremlin who said in an interview the Russian government finds Harris to be a more predictable opponent than Trump. So that statement came in response to Trump's claim that he could swiftly resolve the Ukraine conflict if reelected. And this Kremlin spokesman said that's fantasy, he said. And that Kamala Harris then more predictable than Donald Trump. Also, a man has been arrested in the fatal shooting of a college gymnast, Kara Welsh, near the University of Wisconsin, Whitewater. So she was killed Friday and remembered as the light in everyone's dark days. So she was found dead with multiple gunshot wounds in an apartment on Friday night. And so now a man has been arrested in the shooting, a 23-year-old man at an apartment about a block away from the university's main campus, police said. Also, a Japanese startup company has revealed their plans to build the world's first nuclear fusion reactor. So this would be a significant stride in the pursuit of fusion energy, which is widely regarded as the ultimate clean energy solution. And they say they have they've announced their plans to build the first nuclear fusion reactor. Also, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is trending this morning. He has sued the North Carolina Elections Board for not removing his name from the state's ballot. He, as you know, is withdrawn from the race. He has endorsed Donald Trump, and North Carolina's election board does not want to remove his name from the ballot. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is suing them. And then finally this morning, 4 passengers were killed in a shooting on a subway train in a Chicago suburb. Man was taken into custody. A firearm was recovered from his possession, according to police. So 4 people shot to death on a Chicago commuter train. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. Currently, mostly clear and 60. And this hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Needs to know, Callow is here 24 hours a day. Callow, News Talk 1320, 107.9, and Callow.com.
We don't just meet expectations, we exceed them. We don't just.
All right, my friend, I want to thank you for letting me join you this morning. And I hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. Hope you'll join me at 9:30 on YouTube for the 4th hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. So I'll say so long until then. Take care. See you soon.
Here's to the future we continue to get better together.